Very good afternoon. You're watching Lunchtime News here on News First, where the people come first. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Binamijaya. Let's start off with a look at your headlines this afternoon.
Discussions between President and TNA commences. The generation of power at the Kerawalapitiya power plant suspended. 43rd Brigade engages in a protest march to Colombo. President Biden says Russia should be removed from the G20.
News First with the people.
In some breaking news, 2 fundamental rights applications were filed in the Supreme Court today by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka on the present economic crisis in the public interest. Now, the applications were filed by the President of the BASL, President's Council Salia Piris, Deputy President, President's Council Anurimat Degoda, Secretary, Attorney at Law Rajiv Amarasuriya, Treasurer, Attorney at Law Rajin Pereira, and the Assistant Secretary, Attorney at Law Pasindu Silva. Now, the petitions have made the Attorney General, the Cabinet of Ministers, the Governor of the Central Bank, the Secretary to the Treasury, Secretaries to several ministries, the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, and the State Pharmaceutical Corporation as respondents. The petition states that the country is at present witnessing long queues for the purchase of essential supplies, mass protests and public interest due to the acute shortages and the sharp increase in the cost of goods and services, including food, fuel and travel costs. The petitioners complain that Sri Lanka is currently facing an unprecedented economic and financial crisis, resulting in acute shortages of fuel, electricity, gas, food, milk powder and medicines. The petitioners say that in view of the growing unrest and public protests witnessed across the island, they verily fear that there is a substantial, real and grave threat of a breakdown in the law and order situation of the country and a substantial threat to the rule of law. They seek an order from the Supreme Court to immediately consult with all the relevant stakeholders and independent experts, including the International Monetary Fund, to formulate and implement policies to provide uninterrupted access to essentials and report such recommendations and their implementation to the Supreme Court. Now, the petitioners will be represented by Dr. President's Counsel K. Kanagiswaran, President's Counsel Ugita Gelheva, Attorney at Law Surenyana Raj, and Attorney at Law Pulasti Heva Mana, instructed by Attorney at Law G.G. Arul Pragasa.
Moving on with news making headlines this afternoon. A discussion is currently underway between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and MPs of the Tamil National Alliance, or the TNA, at the President's office.
Tamil National Alliance parliamentarian President's Council M.A. Sumandiran said the representatives of the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi and the People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Eelam have joined the discussion. Speaking to News First, President's Council M.A. Sumandiran said the objective of the discussion is to inform the President regarding the problems faced by the Tamil community. The TNA's discussions with the President comes against a backdrop of prominent Tamil MPs having sent a letter to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi requesting India's assistance to ensure that the Sri Lankan government resolves the issues faced by the Tamil community. The Tamil Eelam Liberation Organization, which is a constituent party of the Tamil National Alliance, has not attended the meeting with the President.
දැන් අද දිනේදී ඔබතුමාලා මොන වගේ කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න සූදානම්ක් තියෙන්නේ? දේශපාලන ප්‍රශ්නයකට විසඳීමක් නව ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව තුළින් කොයි වගේ අපි ඒකට විසඳුමක් හොයන්න පුළුවන් කියලා අපේ යෝජනා අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න යනවා. කියන්නේ බලය බෙදීම 13ට එහා ගිය දේකුත් ඔබතුමාලා ඉල්ලනවද කොහොමද? ඔව් අපි නිතරම ඉල්ලන්නේ දේ තමයි අදත් කතා කරන්න යන්නේ. දැන් මේ කොහොමද දැන් ඩයස්පෝරාව හරහා මේ මුදල් ලබා දෙන්න ලබා ගේනවා කියලා කියනවා. ඒක ගැන පෙරේදා අපි
We discussed this day before yesterday. We will continue that discussion today. We are hoping for a solution to the issues faced by the Tamil community through a new constitution.
විසඳීමක් හොයන ලෙස.
අවුරුදු දෙකමාරකට පස්සේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා වෙලාවක් දීලා තියෙනවා.
We are hoping the president would engage in a discussion about the issues faced by the Tamil community, which would include a solution. The international community would help a country that respects human rights. We are hoping that a decision would be reached, avoiding narrow political objectives for the future of the country. We are trying not to be skeptical and to be positive regarding this meeting.
රැස්වීමෙන් ආරම්භයක් ලැබේ කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන. දැන් කාගරි රවට්ටන්න දන්නේ මේ රැස්වීම තියෙන. දන්නේ බලමු මචං අපි රැස්වීමකට යද්දී අපි හොඳ හිතෙන් සතුටෙන් හොඳ හිතෙන් යනවා.
දැන් 13ට එහා ගිය බලයකුත් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා තමයි සුමන්දිරන් මහත්මයා කියලා ගියේ. දැන් ඔබතුමාලා කොහොමද ඉන්නේ?
Parliamentarian Sumandiran said they were expecting a solution beyond the 13th Amendment. What is your stance regarding that?
වන්නේ පක්ෂ සාවරේ තමයි.
The protest march organized by the 43rd Brigade is now nearing Colombo. The protest march commenced from Moratuwa.
The youth division of the 43rd Brigade has organised the protest march.
අපි අද එකතු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මේ දුර්දාන්ත අවුලක් විසින් පාලනය කරන
We started this protest as a movement to save our country from a rule carried out by one family. We are directly approaching the people and starting this movement. This is our country. We are worried about this country. These young people are not afraid of the Rajapaksa. We will not abandon this country. We will not stop our struggle until the people of this country take over its rule.
මේ රටේ පෝෂණ මිනිසුන්ගේ අතර ගන්න අපි සටන් කරනවා කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි.
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ වගේ උද්ඝෝෂණ රාශියක්
We believe that many protests like this will take place in the future. We are ready to debate and fight to remove this deceiving administration from power and bring a people-centric administration into power.
අපිට කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන කාරණේ මහපාරේ සංවාදයක් කරන්නයි අපි මේ සූදානම් වෙන්නේ.
A group including 43 individuals are taking part in the protest march coming into Colombo from the Gaul Road. The protest is being staged under the theme "Let us stay in our country, you live, let's join together and chase them."
Minister of Energy Gamini Lokoge says the shipment containing 20,000 metric tons of diesel that reached Sri Lanka yesterday will be distributed to the market today. He says 20,000 metric tons of jet fuel was also unloaded off the ship. However, despite numerous assurances by the respective authorities, the fuel crisis still remains unresolved and people are continuing to wait in long queues at filling stations. Diesel was not delivered to filling stations in the Babula town until this afternoon. Our correspondent reported that petrol was available at only one filling station in the Babula town.
මේව ගියත් අපේ ව්‍යාපාරත් ඉවරයි රටත් ඉවරයි අපේ කාලෙත් ඉවරයි.
A long queue was seen to purchase fuel at a filling station in Putlam since last night. According to our correspondent, steps were taken to distribute diesel since early this morning. Petrol was available at only one filling station in Diurumpitiya, Ahaliyagoda. This was the situation in Anuradhapura. Diesel was available at only one filling station in the Anuradhapura town. A tense situation was reported at a filling station in the Bibila town last night. The filling station had decided to refrain from distributing fuel in cans. The police had intervened in the matter. A decision was later made to distribute fuel in cans only for yesterday.
A long queue of consumers waiting to purchase gas was seen in Ratgamagol. A tense situation arose after the truck carrying gas cylinders arrived at the location. Gas cylinders were distributed with the intervention of the police. A long gas queue was seen in Badulla since this morning. Close to 200 gas cylinders were distributed using a token system. However, many people were unable to purchase the gas cylinders. A gas queue was seen opposite the Hikkaduwa public grounds for the third day today.
Gas cylinders were distributed at the Litrogas terminal in Keravalapitia last night. Our correspondent reported that the distribution process continued after midnight. Meanwhile, chairman of Litrogas, Theshara Jayasinghe, has said a tanker carrying 3,000 metric tons of gas will arrive in the country today. The relevant consignment is to be released to the market. Meanwhile, Lavs Gas said close to 2,000 tons of gas cylinders is inside the Hambantota port. Chairman of Lavs Gas, WKH Vagapitia, said only 4,000 to 5,000 gas cylinders are being released to the market daily since recently. He said the company used to release 50,000 gas cylinders per day. Chairman of Lavs Gas said hospitals, factories and restaurants will be given priority when distributing gas. He pointed out that 45,000 to 50,000 gas cylinders can be released to the market daily once the relevant payments are made to the letters of credit. Accordingly, Groups A to L will experience a 3-hour and 20-minute power cut between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 1-hour and 40-minute power cut between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Groups P to W will experience a 4-hour and 30-minute power cut between 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and 1-hour and 50-minute power cut between 5:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. In your Crime Watch segment this afternoon, 2 people were reported dead in a shooting near the 9th post in Mahara last night.
Crime Watch.
According to police, 2 people who were travelling on a motorcycle were shot by 2 others who arrived on a motorcycle. A T-56 assault rifle was used in the shooting. The 2 victims who sustained critical injuries in the shooting died after being admitted to the Kiribathgora Hospital and the Colombo National Hospital. The victims, aged 30 and 31 years, were residents of Paliyagoda. Police suspect that the shooting was the result of a dispute between 2 organised criminal gangs. Kadawatha police are conducting further investigations.
The Colombo Fire Brigade said around 20 unauthorized homes built in an area known as Kajimavatta, located down Ferguson Road in Thotalanga, were destroyed in a fire that erupted last night. According to the Colombo Fire Brigade, around 45 fighters were deployed to douse the fire, which erupted at around 12:37 midnight. The fire brigade had dispatched 2 fire trucks, 4 water bowsers and an ambulance to the location. No casualties were reported and the fire was doused at around 1:50 a.m. The Colombo Fire Brigade said around 85 people are residing in the houses destroyed due to the fire. Sri Lanka's national grid has lost around 150 megawatts of power due to the failure of the relevant authorities to grant necessary approvals for renewable energy projects. This was revealed at the Committee on Public Enterprises yesterday. The Ceylon Electricity Board, or the CEB, the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority, or the SLSEA, and other entities responsible with regard to the renewable energy sector of the country were summoned to court yesterday evening.
Chairman of Sustainable Energy Authority, can you tell me if you are moving towards renewable energy, we should be prioritizing hydro, solar and wind power. You have issued licenses for 200 to 300 megawatts. However, the ones who received the licenses have not commenced any projects. The most cost-effective power generation method for our country is hydropower. Can you tell me how many projects are currently underway?
Megawatt kiyaka hira wela tinawada kiyanne hydro ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් 28ක් නැවතිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙගාවොට් වලින් ගත්තොත් මෙගාවොට් 40ක් හයිඩ්‍රෝ වල.
ඒ කියන්නේ අපි මේ විදුලිය නැතුව
We are raising concerns that power cuts are imposed in the country. However, after the Sustainable Energy Authority has provided the approval, over 100 megawatt potential power generation is held because the parties are dragging it. This is over 3 years. The government is making policies to go beyond 70 megawatts. You cannot implement policies of the government without breaching this barrier.
අපේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න බෑ.
ඔය කියන විදිහට අපි
Like you said, even though we make attempts to go beyond 70, if the transmission facilities do not match it, you cannot give an output of 70. Is that right?
දෙන්න බෑ නේද?
Developing the transmission facility is a major process and a massive investment needs to be made. We have presented a proposal to the government. The Attorney General provided an opinion in November 2013. Without calling for open tenders, electricity cannot be purchased. That is because of certain drawbacks in the Act.
ඔය ප්‍රශ්නේ ඔය පනත පිළිබඳව ඔය
The matters about the Act have been discussed for over 5 years now. If it was without the tender process, you should have requested them to cancel all the licenses and go for a tender process. When I was the minister, I issued an order to cancel all the licenses and go for an open tender. Now there is a power crisis in the country. There is 100 megawatts available in the grid and licenses are there, but they are not giving it. How can we go beyond 70 without taking care of this mafia?
ඉතින් අපි කොහෙද අපි යන්නේ 70ට 30ට මේ මාෆියාකට ගහන්න.
ඒකනේ බෝලේ පාස් කරන වගේ ගතියක් නේ තියෙන්නේ එහාට මෙහාට.
අපි අද හදිස්සි වෙලා ඉමර්ජන්සි පවර් ගන්න යනවා.
Now we are trying to purchase emergency power. We are purchasing it for 150 rupees for something that can be purchased for 8 to 10 rupees.
ඒ සභාපතිතුමා හරි ඉතින් මේවා තමයි තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න.
And with that, it's a wrap of lunchtime news here on News First, where the people come first. Thank you for watching. A very good day and take care.